Hello everyone and welcome back to the EL99 coursebook. In this video we're going to be going over the second and third part of Unit 2. Thus we'll be concluding Unit 2 in this video. Uh, Now you might be asking yourself, why am I doing 2B and 2C in the same video? Well, when preparing for this lesson, I noticed that 2B is quite short. So instead of having it be like a really short video, I just decided to put them two together in one video. And this way, you guys get a medium-sized video that has basically everything that you need for both 2B and 2C. So let's dive right in. For 2B, it looks like we have meeting friends and making arrangements. So let's go with exercise 1. Listen to, let's see. Okay, you guys know the answer already, but I'm just going to reset this. Listen to Reem calling her friend. What is she trying to do? And tick the correct answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this audio first, and I'd like you to listen to Reem talking to her friend. What is she trying to do exactly? Here we go.
Hi, Anna. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Listen, are you free on Saturday?
No, I'm afraid I'm busy. I'm meeting a friend.
Oh, okay. How about Sunday?
Yes, I'm free. What shall we do?
Would you like to go to the cinema?
Yes, I'd love to.
Great. Let's meet at the cinema at 7:30.
Good idea. See you then.
Okay, so that was the audio. It looks like Reem is arranging an outing with her friend. She wanted her to go to the cinema with her. So it'll be B. All right. Look at the charts. Actually, before we do that, let's take a look at the focus here. Here we have present continuous for future arrangements. We use the present continuous. You guys remember we talked all about the present continuous in the previous part, Unit 2A. So we use the present continuous to talk about our plans with other people. So your plan with other people, we're going to be using present continuous for that. For example, I'm having dinner with Corinna on Friday. It's not something that has happened yet, but we use present continuous. What are you doing on Thursday morning? We're not going to the party tonight. All of these are examples of the present continuous being used for future arrangements that have not happened yet. Okay. So now let's go to exercise 2. Let's see what we have here. It looks like we have some sort of map. Look at the chart. It shows different ways of developing a conversation between two people making arrangements. Complete the chart with expressions from the box. Okay, so here we have a few expressions, and down here we have a chart that basically showcases two people making arrangements with two different possibilities. You could get someone that says yes or someone that says no. And for each one, we're going to be adding expressions to basically complete them. So let's start with the first one. Dash this evening, tomorrow, or on Saturday. This is a question, by the way, so we'll say something like, are you free this evening, tomorrow, on Saturday? Think of it as you making plans with friends. You could either get two answers. Yes, I'm free. And then someone would usually say something like, what shall we do? Or you'll get a no, I'm afraid I'm busy. You'll probably get a reason, probably not. So in this case, there's a reason. I'm meeting a friend or playing football. If it's a yes, you'll usually say something like, you'll keep going basically to continue the arrangement. So it'll be a question. Would you like to go to the cinema after, or to the cinema or have dinner? You could either get a yes, I'd love to, or if they did not agree, you could say something like, oh, okay. How about tomorrow oh, sorry about that. Oh, okay. How about tomorrow evening? Basically, you're still continuing the conversation in hopes that you'll plan like a different time or a different day. Great. Let's meet at the cinema at 6 or at my house at 4. And if not, then it'll be great or good idea. See you then. Okay, so are you free? Yes, I'm free. What shall we do? Would you like to go to the cinema, have dinner? Yes, I'd love to. Great, let's meet at the cinema at 6 or at my house at 4. Great, good idea. See you then. Or are you free? No, I'm afraid I'm busy. And then, oh, okay, how about tomorrow evening, next Wednesday? And then, yes, I'm free. What shall we do? And then it continues. Would you like to go to the cinema or have dinner? Yes, I'd love to. Great. And then great. Okay? So this was the chart with some of the expressions. Find an example of the present continuous in the conversation. Is it describing the present or the future? Okay, so we need to find the present continuous here in one of these. It's gonna be something like, oh, right here. I'm meeting a friend or playing football. This is present continuous. And is it describing the present or the future, you guys? I'm meeting a friend. This is something that will happen in the future. So I'll say, I'm meeting a friend, and that will be in the future. Okay? Let's check our answers. Here you guys go. Okay? Now let's move on to one here, text messages. This should be fun. Read the email and text messages. Okay, I'd like you to pause the video right now and read both the text and email and think about how different both messages are, and then come back and we'll discuss it. Okay, so for the email, let's read it first. Hello, Samir. How are you? My sister is coming to my house tomorrow and I'm cooking lunch. Do you want to join us? Send me an email or a text if you're free. I hope to see you tomorrow, Tanya. And for the text, it says, Hi, Tanya. IMS, I'm guessing that means I'm sorry, but I'm meeting Sally for lunch tomorrow. Are you free later, Samir? First thing that is very obvious is the way it is written. This is a lot more formal and punctual as opposed to whatever this abomination is. There's a lot of slang going on here, and there's a lot of texting lingo, for lack of a better term, that is being used. This feels a lot more, how do I say it? A lot more, basically something that younger folks would use a lot more as opposed to fully grown adults. And this, again, obviously being email format and all that, and this being just a text message makes a massive difference. This is very informal as it comes, basically. So that was the main difference. Now let's go to exercise 2. Say the highlighted words in the text message out loud, then read the focus box and check your answers. Okay, let's read it one more time, actually. IMS stands for I'm sorry. For, the letter for could also be used as for, as an FOR. Lunch tomorrow, but it's written as to and then morrow. And then RU, instead of writing AREYOU, it's just R and U. And then later, instead of later being LATER, it's L and then 8 and then R, so later. I think the focus box is inside this, so it makes it easier. Yes, it is. So let's take a look at the focus box with some of the text messages and what they mean. So it says, in text messages, we often use letters and numbers instead of full words. This usually saves time. I use some of these myself, although not all of them, because it makes it look very weird, and it just becomes annoying to read at some point. And it's also extremely unprofessional, so don't use these except with like friends or something like that. Friends are like perhaps family. They're okay with it. So these are some of the examples. Here we have tonight is tonight, obviously, but with a 2. Great, 8 instead of great. IMO is in my opinion. I personally use this one. IMO in my opinion. let me know. Again, I use this one as well. Let me know. NVM, never mind. I use this one too. TBH is to be honest. Fun fact, I've actually used NVM IRL once, like instead of on text, which came across as very weird. So imagine you're telling someone never mind, but instead of saying never mind, you just say NVM. So I had fun explaining that. Your is your. I've used this one as well. This one is very interesting. See you later, which is see you later. How are you? How are you? IMS is I'm sorry. NP is no problem. I've used this one myself. Of course is of course. Thanks, thanks, and XXX is kiss, kiss, kiss. So these are some text messages and how we'd write them if it was in text message format. Now, it looks like we have some texts here and we actually need to change these into text lingo, if you will. So here we have, you're wrong, in my opinion. I'd like you to pause the video and take a look at some examples and try writing it on your own, and then come back and check your answers. So for A, you're wrong, in my opinion. I'll say something like, let me see. This should be fun. You're wrong. And then in my opinion is usually said like IMO. So you're wrong, in my opinion. Can we meet tonight? Let me know. Can we meet? And then tonight is not the same. It's written like this. Question mark. And then let me know becomes LMK. Let me know. Thanks for the present. It's great. For the present, it's great. Okay. Thanks for the present. And then I could say something like, remember, you don't have to use correct like punctuation and stuff because it's texting. So although it is preferred, but if you're using this abomination, then people will probably understand you regardless. Thanks for the present. It's GR or GR and then 8. Great. I'll add an exclamation mark for here. So you're wrong, IMO. Can we meet tonight? LMK. Thanks for the present. It's great. Check answers. Here you go. Okay, if you got something that is not quite this, then just correct it. I know it can be quite confusing at first. I got confused too. For exercise 4, match each text with a reason for writing. Okay, so it looks like we have some texts here, and here we have some reasoning in the table, and we're basically going to check each reasoning for each text, or match each reasoning with the correct text. So I couldn't come to lunch today because I was ill. I'm sorry. This is clearly someone apologizing. It was really nice of you to send a card. It made me smile. Thanks. Kiss, kiss, kiss. That would be someone thanking you. And hi, Mom. I'm cooking dinner for friends tonight. How do you cook pasta? This is someone asking for help. Okay? So it's 4. Let's check answers. Here you go. All right. Let's move on to exercise, sorry, not exercise, unit 2, unit 2C. This will be the final part for our second unit, a language we all understand slideshow. You're going to watch a slideshow called A Language We All Understand. Look at the photos from the slideshow. What do they show? Share your ideas with another pair. What I'd like you to do is pause the video. If you are in pairs in a classroom, I'd like you to take a look at the pictures and discuss it with your partner. What do you think is going on in the pictures? What do you think it conveys? What do you think you're going to be seeing in the slideshow? If you're alone, you're going to do the same thing, but alone instead of with a partner. Just take a look at the pictures. Think about what you're going to be looking at in the slideshow, and what do you think each picture represents and what does it mean? Okay? So me looking at the pictures here, I'd say it has probably something to do with emotions. The first guess is because of emojis here. Also something like body language. As you guys know, when it comes to texting, there's practically no body language, and emojis were created to kind of remedy that a little bit. Also, in the second picture, the way they're gently holding fingers slash hands, and the way both of them are standing, it's a body language. Again, this gives me sort of body language as well. So this is what I think. Now let's go to the slideshow. So what I'd like you to do is watch the slideshow. It's about 7 or 8 minutes. Yeah, it's about 8.5 minutes. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let you listen. And then I want you to basically compare what is being said in the slideshow to what you thought was going on in each of the images above. So without any further ado, here we go.
Let's start with a quiz. What language is used most widely across the world? Can you think? Chinese. Good guess. Chinese is spoken by more than 1 billion people. That's 16% of the world's population. But no, that's not the answer we're looking for. English? Another good guess. This is an English course after all. English is spoken in more than 60 countries. It's the international language of business and of science, so many people study it as their second language. But no, that's not it. Any more guesses? No? Okay. The answer is body language. Sorry about the trick question. Some experts claim that up to 90% of communication during a face-to-face conversation is non-verbal, that is, unspoken. That's why in written communication, like emails or text messages, it can be hard to know if someone is upset or if they are joking. Unless you use emoticons, such as smileys or winking faces. Or emojis, like these. They help make the tone of the message clearer. And of course, they are also often used to make jokes. Do you use emoticons or emojis? Which do you find most useful? Now back to the real world. Body language can be divided into 3 groups: body postures, gestures, and facial expressions. Our body posture is the way we hold our bodies. With it, we can convey a lot of important information about how we feel. For example, when we are annoyed with someone, we might cross our arms and lean forward. Gestures are movements of our bodies, usually our hands, to make a point, emphasize an idea, or make something clearer. What does this gesture mean? And lastly, facial expressions. Did you know there are 43 muscles in the face? We use our faces, our eyes, eyebrows, lips, noses, and cheeks to show our feelings. An obvious example is the smile. We usually smile to show we are happy or pleased about something. But some smiles are easier to read than others. This one is very hard to read. It's Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. It's one of the most famous paintings in the world. All the great painters knew about the power of body language. That's why their works are still so powerful today. In The Tragedy, Picasso shows us what pain looks like. We can see that this family has suffered a terrible loss. All three family members bow their heads, hunch their shoulders, and avoid eye contact. Sometimes great art can be heartbreaking. This painting, The Return of the Prodigal Son by Rembrandt, tells a story. A son has come home after many years of wasting his father's money. He kneels in front of his father and bows his head. His father has grown old and tired. But look at his face. We can see that even after all the bad times, he forgives his son. This painting is more modern. It was painted in 1942. It's Nighthawks by Edward Hopper, the so-called painter of American loneliness. He mastered using light to show mood. But he also understood body language. Look carefully at the couple at the counter. How do they feel about each other? How can you tell? Last one, A Portrait of Pope Innocent X by Diego Velázquez. This painting is all about power. The man knows he is important. He sits on his throne in a power posture, shoulders back, head held high. And look in his eyes, so much confidence. But is there something else? What can you see? This is what Francis Bacon saw 300 years later. Wow, terrifying. Anyway, we can tell a lot about other people from their body language. But we can also use our own body language to our advantage. This is Amy Cuddy. She's a social scientist. Her theory is, our body language shapes who we are. Her research shows that if we change our posture, we can completely change the way other people see us. But her research has also found something even more interesting and very useful. She has found that if we strike a positive pose for a few minutes every day, we can actually change the chemistry in our bodies. Would you like to try? Find a quiet corner. Put your hands on your hips. Keep your back straight and hold your head high. Get comfortable. Breathe slowly and deeply. Now, hold the pose for 2 minutes. Don't laugh. Can you feel your body chemistry changing? Can you feel your confidence growing? Other people will sense it. They will think of you as a successful, important person, and they'll respect you more. Why not try it before your next presentation? You'll ace it.
Okay, so that was the slideshow. Very interesting, by the way. Let's go to 4. What kind of body language do you use? When do other people understand it? What can you tell from other people's postures and gestures, facial features, or facial expressions? What feelings do they express? That's a very interesting question. Again, if you guys are in pairs, I suggest you pause the video and talk these questions over with your pair. If not, that's okay too. Just pause the video, discuss the questions with yourself, and then come back, talk to me about it, I guess. um, what kind of body language do you use? Well, most of them, I'd say I make sure I'm actually gesturing as I talk right now, although you can't see me. That's actually quite funny. I just caught that. So I use hand gestures, facial features. I use a lot of facial features when I talk, also depending on who I talk to. Um, Also things like posture, the way how I'm standing when I'm talking to someone, or even when I'm sitting down. Um, it's something that is most of the time done involuntarily. So if I'm not interested in a conversation or in a social setting, you'll kind of like see me closed off and wanting to leave. Also, my face will probably be frowned as opposed to happy and smiling and all that. So these are some of the ones that I use, and I answered one. Do other people understand it? Well, I hope so, because if they don't understand it, then they're clearly missing the point, and thus you have to start explaining yourself with words as opposed to, you know, kind of giving off the impression that you don't like it being here. I personally understand body language, especially like the facial ones. Um, I don't know about other people, so that's just me. What can you tell from other people's postures, gestures, and facial expressions? I can almost certainly tell how they feel just by their gestures or lack of gestures and facial expressions. Postures are a little bit harder to read, especially in like when they're not as obvious, but facial expressions and gestures just don't lie. Um, what feelings do they express? Well, let's see. I've seen people's facial expressions change from happy to sad when I've told them certain news. I've also seen them go from just neutral to surprised, shocked. Also, when they gesture a lot, it usually means they're telling the truth. If their body language is more open to you, it means they're enjoying the conversation with you. If they're closed off, it means they're not really feeling it. Also, sitting closer to you usually indicates interest. Oh God, what else? I think that's really it. If someone is not even looking at you while you talk to them, say they're on their phone or not paying attention, then yeah, that just expresses disinterest. So these were mine. Yours could be similar. They could not, or they could be different. That's completely fine too. Look at the paintings from 347 to 630 and make notes. Which painting is the most powerful? Why? Do you have a favorite painting or portrait? Why do you like it? How do the people in the painting feel? And how does the painting make you feel? Okay, so you can go back to the slideshow in the video if you have a different painting, but actually I'd advise you to do that. I'd advise you to go back in the video and pause it to the one that you think is best and make notes on these questions. I'll do the one that I think is most interesting. For me, the one that is most powerful is this one right here, the one that we saw. This is a part of the painting, but the full painting shows this couple basically standing or sitting on a stool together, and it showcases loneliness, which is very deep. I think this is the most powerful to me. Why? Because it showcases an emotion that is not often talked about. Loneliness. I think loneliness is a growing problem, especially with social media and internet being on the rise. It's kind of funny how something that allows us to connect with people all over the world also makes us lonelier than ever. Funny how that works. But anyway, yeah, that's the reason I think loneliness is not talked about enough, and it's a pretty powerful emotion, and it can feel pretty bad when you're experiencing it, or people simply don't have time for you anymore. Do you have a painting or portrait? It's this one. Why do you like it? Already said that. How do the people in the painting feel? Let's take a look. So it looks like they're together, but at the same time they're lonely. And this is a common misbelief, is that if you have people around you, that you can't possibly be lonely when that's not true at all. Loneliness, being lonely is different from being alone. You could be alone and happy as ever, and you could be surrounded by people and extremely lonely. You feel like no one gets you, you don't belong, you don't have a sense of belonging. All of these things could cause loneliness. So it looks like this is what's going on here. We have two people that are, I mean, they look fine. Your average couple, probably in love, having a good time, but, well, not really a good time because it looks like they're both lonely. They don't have a sense of belonging. Um, they're not alone, but they are lonely. That's basically the gist of it. How does the painting make you feel? It makes me feel scared that one day I'll be lonely and alone in like 20, 30 years with no one to remember me. Wow, this just got deep. So, yeah, I'll just keep it at that and we can move on. Writing short descriptions. So, for this focus box, what we usually do is use phrases like there is or there are and we can see. So, this is basically to start writing a short description about something, perhaps a portrait or a painting, or about your phone, or about anything really. You can also use prepositions to describe where things are. Remember the present simple and continuous? Use them, but be consistent with them. Think about questions like who is this? What are they thinking? What happened? What is going to happen? And how does it make me feel? All of these questions can be combined to add more to your description. And then finally, don't forget to use adjectives. Adjectives are describing words. You're describing things to describe how people feel. And you have all sorts of descriptions: sad, happy, surprised, shocked, annoyed, bored, calm, lonely, relaxed, etc., etc. It goes on and on. So use all of these together to create a short description of the thing that you enjoy or like. Okay. Now let's go to writing skills here. We have exercise 1. I'm going to reset this. A paragraph has 3 main parts, as we've discussed before. We have the introduction, a main body, and a conclusion. We're going to read these sentences and mark them as follows: I for introduction, M for main body, or C for conclusion. Let's start with 1. I therefore think that we cannot say that one type of communication is better than the other. What do you guys think? That is correct. This is the conclusion. We're concluding, or the writer is concluding. I therefore think that we cannot say that one type of communication is better than the other. What about B? One of the advantages of written communication is that there is a record of what a person wrote. This will be the main body. That is correct. It is information being given, advantages, disadvantages. All of these are things that are written in the main body. We all know how important good communication is. In this essay, I will compare written and spoken communication. This is the introduction because it gives the reader an idea of what is going to be discussed in the main body, as well as a general idea of what is written or what this essay is going to be about in general. So this will be the introduction. Okay. Okay. Here we have writing a good paragraph. So what does a good paragraph include? A good paragraph includes a topic sentence. That is a sentence that tells the reader what your paragraph is about. Do not confuse this with the introduction. It is just a sentence and it gives a very general idea of what the paragraph is going to be about. Also, evidence and facts. When you follow the topic sentence, you follow it up with sentences that can explain the topic or discuss it further. Evidence and facts. And finally, you conclude with a concluding sentence. The concluding sentence basically summarizes what's been said in the paragraph, more often than not the main body, and it often mirrors the topic sentence by saying the same thing but using different words. So again, very similar to a topic sentence, but think of it as a mirror as opposed to taking things as is and just using different words to convey your point or your conclusion. Read the paragraph below and underline the topic sentence and concluding sentence. How many sentences are in the main body? This should be fun. Let's take a look. Okay. So here we have using public transport has some disadvantages compared with traveling by car. This right here will be the topic sentence. Notice how it's just a sentence, but it gives a very brief description of what we're going to be reading. Now that I just read, using public transport has some disadvantages compared with traveling by car. Now I know what I'm going to be reading. And the focus is going to be on disadvantages as well. Firstly, you often have to wait for a bus, and this can waste your time. Secondly, buses may not go exactly where you want to go. This means that you may need to walk to your destination or take another bus to get there. Thirdly, buses are often crowded, so you may have to stand up for your journey, which could be uncomfortable. These are some of the reasons why many people prefer private transport over public transport. The final sentence here is the concluding sentence. Notice how this concluding sentence, it basically mirrors what was being said in the topic sentence, just in different wording, and to further, how do I say this? Further explain why these disadvantages are the way they are. So these are some reasons why many people prefer private transport over public transport. And this is obviously the main body. So how many sentences are in the main body? So now that we've taken both of these out because they're topic sentence and concluding sentence, let's count them down. Firstly, you often wait for a bus and this can waste your time. 1. Secondly, may not where you want to go. 2. This means that you may need to walk to your destination or take another bus. 3. Thirdly, buses are often crowded, so you may have to stand up for your journey, which could be uncomfortable. 4. Remember, a sentence ends not when there's a comma, but when there's a full stop. Okay? So 4 total sentences are in the main body, and if we're counting all of them, they'd be 6. Check answers. Here you go. Okay? Let's see. Read the topics below and write a topic for each one. Okay, so here we have a few topics, and we'd like to write a topic sentence for each one. Now that you guys know what a topic sentence is, what I'd like you to do is you can use this first one for reference. And based on these topics, I'd like you to write your own topic sentence for each one. Okay, so I'm going to assume you've written your own topic sentences for each one. So I'm going to do that now. First one is learning online or learning in a classroom. A topic sentence could be something like the advantages and disadvantages of online learning versus traditional classroom learning is I'll say something like an ongoing debate. This is the first topic sentence. For the second one, summer weather or winter weather, this will be a comparison. So I can say something like the appeal, sorry, that's a double P, of summer weather as opposed to winter weather often comes down to personal preference. That's 2. Now for the third one, let's see. Meeting friends in the week or at the weekend. That's a good one. I could say something like the decision to meet friends during the week or on the weekend often depends on something like individual schedules. And there you go. These are 3 topic sentences for 3 topics. Let's go over them again. Sorry. The advantages and disadvantages of online learning versus traditional classroom learning is an ongoing debate. The appeal of summer weather as opposed to winter weather often comes down to personal preference. The decision to meet friends during the week or on the weekend often depends on individual. Actually, just 1 second. I need to double check. Often depends on individual schedules. I knew I was missing something. There's no I here. Individual schedules. Okay, great. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna keep going here. Put the sentences in the correct order. Put the sentences in the correct order to make a paragraph about the advantages and disadvantages of the internet. Okay, so we wanna correct or put these in the correct order so that it becomes a full-on paragraph about the advantages and disadvantages of the internet. And remember, if it's a paragraph, that means it's going to include an introduction, a main body, and a conclusion. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video right now, go over these. If you have a partner, that's awesome. If not, that's completely fine too. Order these correctly and then come back and check your answers. All right, so let's go over this one by one. Secondly, we can also, right away, we're going to skip this because we're looking for the introduction. Firstly, the internet gives us access to a lot of useful information. No, that's still not an introduction. The internet has many advantages and it can help us a lot in our daily lives. This is an introduction. Second, we're looking for the beginning of the main body. Firstly, the internet gives us access to a lot of useful information very quickly. Normally, secondly would work, but we're kind of looking for an example. So this will be here. For example, we can use it to research ideas for university assignments and projects at any time of the day. And then after firstly, secondly comes in. We can also use it to get information about the location and opening times of clinics, shops, and government services. This helps us to easily complete tasks we need to do. And then after that, thirdly comes in, we can use the internet to book flights and hotel accommodation because we can see photos and read reviews from other customers. We can choose the best options. And then after the home body is done, it ends with the conclusion. There is no doubt that the internet helps us in our lives in many wonderful ways. So these are some of the advantages and disadvantages of the internet, and this is the paragraph. Here you guys go. All right, let's go to 5. Oh. Match each topic sentence with the sentences that follow. Okay, so we have some topic sentences, and we want to match it with the correct description, or rather the description that follows afterwards. So the history of modern flight began in December 1903. So this is talking about flight. This sport, nope. On this date, Orville Wright flew a simple airplane for 12 seconds. That short flight was the birth of modern air travel. So this will air travel, flight, same thing. Travel is important in our modern world, and there are many options available for travel. Right here. People can choose between cars, buses, trains, and airplanes. How and when we use a type of transport depends on many factors. There are only about 13,000 tigers in the world. Wow, I did not know that. Oh, it's right here. However, most people do not know that the majority of these animals live in zoos or parks. There are only 5,000 tigers living in their natural environment, the jungle. And finally, Football is one of the most popular sports in the world. This sport is played in almost every country, and it is enjoyed by people of all ages. The modern game of football started in 1863 when the English Football Association was formed. Let's check answers. These are our answers. I think on that note, this concludes Unit 2. I hope you guys like the slightly different format for this unit, and I hope you learned something new. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.